and welcome back to Two Guys in a Game Shop. I'm John.
And I'm Phil. And today we are going to talk about 1775 Rebellion. This is a representation of the American Revolution. It's a very simple, introductory kind of war game. Uses blocks instead of chits or miniatures or anything like that. But it's really simple, really easy to get people involved in the game, and generally plays about 1 to 2 hours. So we're going to show you what the game looks like and go over a brief little introduction of the rules for the game, and then we'll give you our thoughts on it. Here you can see an overlay of what comes in the game. It has two of the American playing factions. You have the Patriot Militia. They have their specific dice that are made just for them and their combat markers. You have the Continental Army with their specific dice and their combat markers. You notice there is a difference in the number of dice here. That is done for a reason. It reflects the power and the effectiveness of the forces.
Also, you have the Loyalist Militia, their accompanying dice and unit markers, as well as the British Regulars with their dice and markers. And same as with the Patriots, you have different sets of dice which also pertain to each force.
These are the control markers that you use to indicate control of the various provinces or colonies, I should say, and that is part of the goal of the game. Is whoever has the greatest control is the one that actually wins the game. These are the markers that are used to determine initiative, and they indicate which of these four factions actually take their turn. So it's randomly drawn out of this bag that is included in the game.
Here also we have the Hessian forces, we have the Indian forces, and we also have the French forces, as well as the game round marker.
And up here you have a quick reference sheet. It provides an overview of the map, a little explanation of the factions, and how well they hit or miss or run away in some cases. You have the rule book, you have a letter from the designer, and you get this actually fairly handy tray for organizing all of your pieces in the game. So we're going to demonstrate the aspects of a turn. To start the turn, you will randomly draw one of the initiative cubes out of the bag. This is the bag here, and I will randomly draw one out. And the first one to go will be the Continental Army. So I'll place that on the first activation. And to start your turn, you gain reinforcements. You always gain 4 reinforcements, plus any reinforcements that you had that fled from prior turns. These reinforcements can only be put on colonies that you control. So that's colonies with these flags that match your side. In this case, America controls Connecticut and Rhode Island. So I can put these 4 reinforcements on either of those 2 spots. So I'm going to place them actually all into Rhode Island. After the reinforcement phase, you then play a movement card. Now the movement cards can be either naval or land. I'm going to play this movement card, which is a movement of 4 armies, 1 space. Now what that means is I can choose 4 of the armies with blue markers, blue combat markers, and move them 1 space. When I move into an area, they stop in that area if it's enemy controlled. So first one, I'm going to move into here. That will cause a combat to occur there. The second one, I am going to move all 6 of my Continental forces into there, and I'm going to leave the 1 Patriot militia behind. That's my 2nd army worth of movement. My 3rd army is going to move up here to reinforce Massachusetts, and my 4th army is going to move into here to reinforce this area's attack. Notice when I moved these in, I took the Patriot militia with me. Because I moved my blue marker, I can take along with me any allies that are in the same spot as me. You can pull all your forces out just like what I did here, and I can bring them into combat. So all my movement's done. Now what we would do is resolve combat in any places where we have battles. We have a battle here, and we have a battle here. Now this area here has the Loyalist militia, and they only have 1 marker, so they are going to get 1 of the yellow die to roll. There are 2 of the Continental Army, so they're going to get 2 blue dice to roll. And then I've got 2 of the Patriot militia, and they're going to get 2 dice to roll. So I'm going to be rolling these 4 dice, and the Loyalist militia is going to be rolling 1 die. Now the defender always rolls first on this. So the Loyalist militia, or the Tory, gets to roll first. And the roll is a flee. Now there's 3 different possible options on the dice here. 1 can be inflict a hit, 1 can be a miss, and 1 is a flee. When he rolls a flee, before anything else is done, he has to choose his force, and it will flee the battle. And that will actually be fled down to here, which is the fled units. So that gets removed, and if there was any forces left, I would roll my dice, but there are none, so I take that area. Simple as that. Easy combat. Now we go over here to this combat. Here I have 6 Continental Army forces, but I only have 2 Continental Army dice. 2 is the maximum I can roll for the Continental Army. So that's all I'll be rolling, but as I take losses, I'll still continue to roll the 2. He gets 2 red dice for the British regulars, and 1 yellow dice for the Loyalist militia there. And again, defender rolls first. And here you see that he got 2 misses and 1 hit. So I would take 1 loss, and that would be destroyed. Now, since I still got 5 forces in here, I will roll the available dice, which is only 2 for the Continental Army. And here I got a hit and a miss. So he has to choose 1 of his 3 forces to lose. So he takes that off. And then we go into a second round of combat. So now he only rolls the 2 red dice. And there he inflicts double hits. So I lose those 2 guys. But I still have 3 left, so I'm still rolling the 2 dice. And I get a miss and a flee. So my guy flees down here, and the second one misses. So now we're at 2 and 2. And he gets to roll again, or I could choose to actually retreat. But I'm going to stay there. I want to try and take Boston. And here he inflicts 1 hit, and he misses with the other one. Now, since I only have 1 marker in there, I only roll 1 die instead of 2. And I miss. Now, since I missed, when I get this option, I can choose to retreat with him, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to retreat out of there. And that will end the combat. He maintains control of Boston. And that ends my turn, except for I get a draw back up to 3 cards. Normally you start the hand with 3 possible cards in your hand, and you have to play 1 movement card during your turn. Since I played this 1 card, that is now out of my hand, and I would draw another card to go back up to 3. Now we draw a second initiative marker out of the bag, and we get the red coats.
So the red coats, we reinforce 4. We only have 1 area we control right now, it looks like. So that is New Hampshire. So we put these in here along with the other ones. So then now, looking at my movement, I'll go ahead and play my 2 armies movement 3 card. And so go with move those 3 there, and then for my other movement, go with these ones into here.
So now we have battles in Connecticut and in this place in Massachusetts. It becomes the British's choice on which one to battle first.
We'll go ahead and get Massachusetts out of the way.
So with Massachusetts, I've got 2 of the Patriot Militia and 2 of the Continental Army, so I'm rolling these 4 dice first. And with this result, I inflicted 2 hits, I missed, and I had 1 Patriot Militia flee the battle. Now he gets to battle back, but since he only has 1 British regular, he only rolls 1 die. And he misses. Since he missed and he got that, he can choose to retreat if he wants to.
Which we will do.
And that ends the battle there. So now we've got the battle here in Connecticut. Again, Continental Army, there's only 1 present though, and Patriot Militia, there is 1 present. So I'm rolling the 2 dice. He gets 2 reds for the 2 British regulars and 1 yellow for the Loyalist Militia. I roll first, and I missed with both of them. So now he gets to do his roll.
It's like 1 hit.
1 hit by the Loyalists, so I am going to choose to lose the Patriot Militia.
So we will choose to continue.
And so now I only roll 1 blue die. And I hit. So by losing that, he now does not roll the yellow die. And he inflicted double hits, which eliminates my blue. Now, since the British have taken Hartford, Connecticut is now contested, so this marker is removed, and the Americans no longer control Connecticut. And that keeps on going until all 4 factions have taken a turn, and then the turn marker is moved to the second round, and you continue until at least turn 3, or until one side, either the Americans or the British, have played both truce cards. The truce cards mean that that one side has called for a truce. When that is done, you count up the number of controlled colonies, and the side with the greater amount is the winner of the game. If there is a tie, then Canada is considered the winner, and the United States becomes a southern province of Canada. 1. So that's a general idea of how 1775 goes. You can see that it has a really simple way of resolving the combat. You just roll the dice, depending on the number of combat units that you have in the area. If you've got more combat units than you've got dice, you just roll the number of dice that you have. I mean, it's really simple, really self-explanatory, great for beginning people, getting them into a war game, because it offers a lot of thinking. Where do I want to move? Which areas do I want to try and gain control of? You need that control to bring your reinforcements on. So there's a lot of facets. Plus there's those additional forces, the Hessians, the French, the Native American Indians. They can all be brought in. You can go and recruit Indian forces to join your side, and you can play reinforcements that bring on the Hessians for the British and the French for the Americans. And so those add more dice, different results and everything. The more dice you have, and generally the better you do. But as evidenced, sometimes the British are just vicious in that game.
That 3 hits and no run really helps out.
Yeah.
One thing I like about this also is, like you're mentioning there, this game really does a good job showing the American Revolution. They really show almost everything that was going on with the forces of who was fighting. I mean, you got the Germans, you got the French, you have all these forces that a lot of other games kind of gloss over sometimes. So that was a real neat aspect. At the same time, keeping it easy and simple enough for I could even get my wife to play this one.
Yeah, and
it's a short list of war games.
I've even got my wife to play this too, and she actually enjoyed it. She's not a war gamer. She's told me many times I don't play war games, but I was able to convince her to do this because it was part of the American Revolution, part of our history, and she played it. She enjoyed it because it was very simple to play, but still lots of replayability because of the different movement cards and the different way the dice roll and everything else like that.
The other nice thing is not a super long game either, which with a lot of war games, that's a big thing. There's certain times that, especially if you're going to try to get someone who doesn't play war games, if you're like, all right, we're going to play some Axis and Allies, clear your schedule for the next 8 to 12 hours. It's not going to fly. You can get them to play something like this because you can literally wrap up a game. What are you thinking, like
1 to 2 hours?
1 to 2 hours,
yeah.
Which is really nice.
Yeah, the game has a variable end condition. You play 2 turns for sure. On your 3rd turn, the game could end if one side, the Americans or the British, end up having both their truce cards played. So you could end on turn 3, or at the latest, I think it's 8 turns. You could play 8 turns in that, and then it's going to end for sure. But it can end anywhere between turn 3 and turn 8, depending on those truce cards coming out, which can make for a relatively quick game, but a lot of thinking in the game.
Oh yeah, since you don't know which time that the game's going to end, that's one thing I actually think is really neat about it, because if you're planning for the long haul and the long haul isn't what's going to happen in this game, well, your strategy's not going to pan out then.
Yeah. If you're like, well, in a couple of turns I will take that colony over, the game could end before a couple of turns. So you want to act when you see a chance, and sometimes take a gamble, because sometimes that gamble can pay off. Other times it could fly right back in your face, and you don't have enough forces left to hold anything. So,
oh yeah. Then also, one thing I like about this is something I feel kind of really strongly about, is this game actually comes with a sorter. I don't know how many times when you're expected to pay, $40 on up for a board game, and you get some plastic baggies if you're lucky in the game. Sometimes you have to find your own thing to put your pieces in. The fact that it comes with a sorter, there's a pretty nice sorter, is excellent. So if anybody who actually designs games out there, by the way, people like that, so you should probably do it.
Yeah, this one has a space for each of the factions, including the expansions, the French and the Hessians. They've got spaces that you can put it in there, spaces to put the cards, in with the pieces, a special area for the dice. I mean, it's actually a really well laid out tray that's included in the game, which is rather nice. Like you said, sometimes you get baggies, which no disrespect to the companies that put baggies in. I'd rather have baggies than nothing. But having a tray is definitely a big plus.
Oh yeah, pretties up your game too. It's real nice.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's probably about it.
Well, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the overview of 1775 Rebellion.